Welcome to Monk's Temple. Welcome, sincere heart. Welcome, curious mind. Welcome, weary soul who has been carrying questions like heavy stones in your pocket for far too long. This is a space where we don't rush toward answers, but we learn to sit comfortably with the questions. My name is, your name, and what follows is not a lecture. It is an invitation. An invitation to step out of the traffic of your own thoughts and onto the quiet bank of the river, where you can just watch the water flow by for a while. Before we go deeper, I want you to arrive fully. Wherever you are right now, whether lying in bed, sitting on a train, or taking a break from a busy day, just arrive. Feel the weight of your body against whatever is supporting you. Feel the temperature of the air on your skin. Take one breath, just one, and breathe it in as if it is the first breath you have ever taken. And as you breathe out, let go of whatever happened before this moment. It is gone. You are here now. That is enough. We are going to talk about something that affects every human being on this planet. It is the relationship between our desire to understand everything and our ability to actually live peacefully. We live in an age of information. We have more access to knowledge, to philosophy, to psychology, to spiritual teachings than any generation in history. And yet, look around. Look inside. Are we more at peace? Are we suffering less? For many of us, the answer is no. We are more anxious. We are more overwhelmed. Why? Because we have mistaken the menu for the meal. We have been eating the paper menu, trying to get nourished by descriptions of food, while the actual meal sits in front of us, getting cold. This is not a new problem. One of the greatest physicians of the human soul who ever lived, a man we call the Buddha, diagnosed this condition with perfect clarity over 2,500 years ago. He saw that human beings are shot with a poisoned arrow the moment they are born. The arrow is suffering. It is the inevitable pain of getting what we don't want and not getting what we do want. It is the ache of watching things change. It is the confusion of not knowing who we really are. Now, the natural reaction to being shot with an arrow is to want it removed. You want the pain to stop. But the Buddha noticed something strange about the human mind. Instead of letting the healer pull out the arrow, we become fascinated by the arrow itself. We want to know everything about it. We ask questions like, who shot this arrow? What was their intention? What kind of wood is this arrow made from? And while we are asking these questions, the poison is spreading. The wound is festering. And we are dying. This is what we do with our suffering. Something painful happens in our lives, and instead of attending to the wound, we start philosophizing about it. We start analyzing it. We start building elaborate theories about why it happened and what it means. We dive into psychology to understand our childhood wounds. We dive into spirituality to understand our karmic patterns. And all the while, the raw, immediate experience of pain is sitting right there in our chest, completely ignored. Let me tell you a story about a woman named Elena. Elena was a therapist. She had helped hundreds of people work through their traumas. She knew all the theories. She could explain the difference between complex PTSD and attachment disorders. She was brilliant. But Elena herself was deeply unhappy. She had been single for years and felt a profound loneliness that no amount of professional success could touch. Her solution was more knowledge. She enrolled in advanced training programs. She attended conferences on trauma and the body. She read every new book on relationships and the neuroscience of connection. She was gathering more and more information about the arrow. She could tell you its chemical composition. She could tell you its historical origin. But she never let anyone pull it out. She never sat with the actual feeling of loneliness in her body. She was too busy thinking about it. One evening, after a particularly lonely weekend, she was sitting in her apartment surrounded by her books, her certificates on the wall, and she felt a wave of despair so strong it took her breath away. For the first time, she didn't reach for a book. She didn't open a podcast. She just sat there and let herself feel the despair. She felt the tightness in her chest. She felt the hollowness in her stomach. She felt the tears burning behind her eyes. She didn't analyze it. She didn't label it. She just let the sensation be there. And something shifted. Not immediately. It was uncomfortable. It was painful. But after a few minutes, the intensity began to soften. The feeling was still there, but it was no longer overwhelming. It was just energy moving through her body. She realized in that moment that she had spent 15 years running from this feeling by studying it. She had been using psychology the way some people use alcohol, to numb herself, to distract herself from the raw data of her own experience. This is the trap of excessive philosophy. It feels productive. It feels like we are working on ourselves. But often, we are just feeding our intellectual appetites while starving our hearts. If this kind of honest exploration resonates with you, if you are tired of collecting information and ready for genuine transformation, I invite you to subscribe to Monk's Temple. By subscribing, you are making a statement to yourself and to the universe that you are ready to move from knowing to being, from collecting to experiencing. Hit the subscribe button below and join this community of sincere seekers who are learning to put down their questions long enough to find the answers that have been waiting in the silence all along. Let's continue this journey together. The path is long, but every step taken in awareness is a step toward home. Let us go deeper now. Let us examine why we are so addicted to these philosophical questions. Because it is not simply a bad habit. It is a strategy. It is a coping mechanism that our minds have developed to protect us from the raw, messy, unpredictable nature of actual lived experience. Think about it. When you are asking a big question like, what is the meaning of life, or, does the universe have a purpose, your mind is engaged in a very safe activity. It is playing with concepts. It is moving symbols around on a mental chessboard. This feels important. It feels profound. But it is actually a way of staying on the surface of life. It is a way of avoiding the depths. The depths are scary. The depths are where we feel things we do not want to feel. The depths are where we encounter our own impermanence, our own vulnerability, our own smallness in the vast cosmos. So instead of diving down, we stay on the shore and debate the chemical composition of the water. We never get wet. The Buddha understood this perfectly. He was approached one day by a man named Malankiyaputta, who was very much like many of us today. Malankiyaputta was frustrated. He had been following the Buddha for years, and the Buddha had never answered his big metaphysical questions. Is the world eternal or not? Is the soul the same as the body or different? Does a fully enlightened person exist after death? These questions burned in Malankiyaputta's mind. He could not let them go. So he went to the Buddha and gave him an ultimatum. He said, "If you do not answer these questions for me, I will leave this path. I will give up on this whole spiritual pursuit. What is the point of following a teacher who cannot clarify the most fundamental mysteries of existence?" The Buddha did not get defensive. He did not try to impress Malankiyaputta with his knowledge. Instead, he told a story. He said, "Imagine a man is shot with a poisoned arrow. His friends rush to bring a surgeon to remove the arrow and save his life. But the man refuses to let the surgeon touch him until he has answers. He wants to know who shot the arrow. Was it a warrior or a priest? He wants to know the name of the man and what village he comes from. He wants to know what kind of bow was used. Was it a longbow or a crossbow? He wants to know what the arrow was made of and what kind of feathers were on it." The Buddha then asked Malankiyaputta, would that man ever get his answers, or would he die first? Malankiyaputta had to admit the man would die. His questions would remain forever unanswered because he ran out of time while chasing them. This story is not just about metaphysics. It is about the urgency of the human condition. We are all living on borrowed time. The arrow of suffering, of aging, of sickness, of death, has already been shot. It is already in our flesh. And every moment we spend asking abstract questions is a moment we are not attending to the wound. Let me tell you another story. This is about a man named Marcus. Marcus was a software developer, but his true passion was astronomy. He loved staying up late, looking at the stars through his telescope, and contemplating the vastness of the universe. He would think about billions of galaxies and the likelihood of extraterrestrial life. He would think about the eventual heat-death of the universe billions of years from now. These thoughts gave him a sense of perspective. They made his daily problems seem small. But they also created a strange disconnect. He was so busy contemplating the cosmos that he was absent from his own living room. His wife would try to talk to him about their marriage, about the growing distance between them, and he would nod while mentally calculating the orbit of a distant planet. One night, his wife sat him down and said, "Marcus, I feel like I am married to a ghost. You are here, but you are not here. Your body is in this room, but your mind is in another galaxy. I need you to come back to Earth. I need you to be present with me." Marcus was shocked. He thought his cosmic contemplation made him a deeper person. He thought it elevated him above ordinary people. But his wife showed him the truth. His philosophy was not elevating him. It was abandoning her. It was abandoning his own life. This is a painful realization. The grandest philosophy in the world means nothing if it distances you from the actual reality of your own existence. The love of wisdom must never become a substitute for the practice of love itself. Let us bring this back to the Buddha's arrow. The questions Malankiyaputta was asking were not bad questions. Philosophers have debated them for millennia. But they were the wrong questions for someone who was bleeding out. They were the wrong questions for someone who had not yet addressed the fundamental suffering in their own heart. The Buddha was not anti-intellectual. He was not saying we should never think about these things. He was saying, get your priorities straight. First things first. Heal the wound. Stop the bleeding. Then, if you still want to discuss the archer, we can do that over tea. But you will find, once you are healed, that many of these questions lose their urgency. They dissolve not because you found the answer, but because the questioner has changed. This is the great secret. The questions that torment us are often tormenting because we are asking them from a place of pain. When the pain is healed, the questions either answer themselves or simply disappear, like mist burning off in the morning sun. Now we must ask ourselves a difficult question. If philosophy and intellectual understanding are not the answer, then what is? What does it actually mean to heal the wound? What does it look like to pull out the arrow? The Buddha gave a very practical answer. He said the path to healing has three fundamental components. First, ethical living. Second, mental discipline. Third, wisdom. But these are not philosophical concepts to be studied. They are practices to be lived. Let us start with ethical living. This may sound simple, even boring. But it is the foundation upon which everything else rests. Ethical living means cultivating actions of body and speech that do not cause harm to ourselves or others. It means speaking truthfully, even when it is difficult. It means acting with kindness, even when we do not feel like it. It means refraining from taking what is not given and from using our words as weapons. Why is this the first step? Because a mind entangled in guilt, in regret, in the consequences of harmful actions, cannot settle into deep peace. If you have lied to someone, that lie will sit in your consciousness like a splinter. If you have hurt someone, that memory will arise again and again, disturbing your peace. Ethical living is not about being good to please some external judge. It is about cleaning up your own house so you can finally rest. Let me tell you a story about a woman named Priya. Priya was a lawyer. She was highly successful, highly intelligent, and highly stressed. She came to a meditation retreat hoping to find relief from her constant anxiety. She sat down to meditate, and her mind immediately filled with thoughts about a case she was working on. She had twisted the truth in a legal document. It was technically within the rules, but she knew it was misleading. She had justified it to herself as just doing her job. But in the silence of the meditation hall, that justification fell away. She was left with the raw feeling of having done something she knew was wrong. No amount of philosophical reasoning could soothe that feeling. No amount of breathing techniques could make it disappear. The only way forward was to acknowledge what she had done and commit to acting differently. This is the first step of healing. You cannot build a temple on a swamp. You must first drain the water and lay a solid foundation. The second component is mental discipline. This is what we usually think of as meditation. But meditation is not about becoming a master of concentration. It is much simpler and much more difficult. It is about training your mind to be where your body is. It is about learning to place your attention on one thing and keep it there. In the beginning, this feels impossible. You sit down to follow your breath, and within seconds you are planning dinner or replaying an argument from 10 years ago. This is normal. It is simply seeing, for the first time, how untrained your mind really is. It is like getting on a treadmill and realizing you are out of shape. The realization is the beginning of the workout. There is a story about a famous weaver who was asked how she created such beautiful fabrics. She said, "I spend most of my time preparing the loom. I check every thread, every tension point. If the loom is not perfectly set up, the pattern will be distorted no matter how skillful my hands are." Meditation is preparing the loom of your mind. When the loom is ready, the pattern of wisdom weaves itself. The third component is wisdom. But here we must be very careful. The wisdom the Buddha spoke of is not intellectual wisdom. It is not something you can read in a book or learn from a teacher. It is a direct, personal, experiential understanding of the nature of your own mind. This wisdom arises naturally when the first two components are in place. When your life is ethical, your mind is not agitated by guilt. When your mind is disciplined, it can see clearly without being distracted. In that clarity, you begin to see things as they actually are. You see that everything is changing, moment by moment. You see that holding on to anything causes suffering. You see that the idea of a separate, solid self is just a thought, not a reality. This is not a depressing realization. It is the most liberating realization possible. It is like waking up from a nightmare and realizing the monsters were never real. Let me tell you a story about a man named Thomas. Thomas was a successful businessman who had everything he thought he wanted. Money, status, a beautiful home. But he was miserable. He lived in constant fear of losing it all. He attended seminars on manifestation and positive thinking. He read books by spiritual teachers who told him he could create his own reality. But his fear only grew. One day, he lost a major deal and faced financial ruin. His worst fear had come true. And in that moment of crisis, something broke open in him. He sat down and for the first time, he did not try to think his way out of the problem. He just sat with the fear. He felt it in his body. He watched it rise and fall. And he realized something astonishing. The fear was just energy. It was uncomfortable, but it was not dangerous. It could not kill him. What was killing him was the endless thinking about the fear, the stories he told himself about what the fear meant. In that moment, Thomas tasted wisdom. He saw that his suffering came not from losing money, but from his attachment to having money. He saw that his peace did not depend on external circumstances. It depended only on his relationship with his own mind. This is the healing the Buddha spoke of. It is not about finding the right answers. It is about training the mind to be free, right here, right now, in the middle of this imperfect, unpredictable, beautiful life. Let us now turn our attention to a question that may be arising in your mind. If the path is about healing rather than philosophizing, about experiencing rather than thinking, then what do we do with our natural intelligence? Are we supposed to shut down our minds completely? Are we supposed to stop thinking and just become blank? This is a common misunderstanding. The goal is not to eliminate thinking. The goal is to put thinking in its proper place. Thinking is a wonderful tool. It has built bridges, cured diseases, created art. But a tool that is never put down becomes a master. A hammer that you cannot stop swinging will eventually smash everything in sight, including your own thumb. The thinking mind is like that. It is useful when you need to solve a problem, plan for the future, or learn a new skill. But when it runs continuously, when it chatters without stop, when it analyzes everything including your own feelings, it becomes destructive. It creates suffering where none needed to exist. The Buddha compared the untrained mind to a wild elephant. It crashes through the forest, destroying everything in its path, driven by impulse and craving. The trained mind is like a tame elephant. It is still powerful. It can still do great work. But it is under control. It goes where the Mahout directs it. It does not run wild. So the question is not how to stop thinking. The question is how to become the Mahout. How to train the elephant so that it serves you rather than ruling you. Let me tell you a story about a man named Daniel. Daniel was a writer. His livelihood depended on his ability to think creatively. He loved his work, but he also suffered from what he called the monster. The monster was his thinking mind. It would wake him at 3 in the morning with brilliant ideas, and then refuse to let him go back to sleep. It would generate endless scenarios of failure and rejection. It would analyze every conversation he had, looking for hidden meanings and potential insults. Daniel tried to fight the monster. He tried to suppress his thoughts. He tried to reason with them. He tried to replace negative thoughts with positive affirmations. Nothing worked. The monster only grew stronger. One day, he met an old meditation teacher who gave him a different instruction. The teacher said, "Stop fighting the monster. Invite it for tea." Daniel was confused. Invite it for tea? The teacher explained. When the monster appears, do not try to make it go away. Do not argue with it. Just acknowledge it. Say to yourself, "Ah, there is thinking." Then go back to your breath. Do not engage. Do not fight. Just observe. The monster cannot survive without your attention. It feeds on your belief that it is real and important. Daniel tried this. The next time he woke at 3 in the morning with his mind racing, he did not get sucked into the thoughts. He just noticed them. He said to himself, "Thinking, thinking." And then he brought his attention to his breath. The thoughts continued for a while, but without his engagement, they gradually lost their power. They became like background noise, like rain on the roof. Within 20 minutes, he was asleep again. This is the training of the mind. It is not about stopping thoughts. It is about changing your relationship to them. Thoughts become problems only when we believe them, when we grab onto them, when we follow them down the rabbit hole. When we simply see them as mental events, as clouds passing through the sky of awareness, they lose their ability to disturb us. Let me share another story, this one about a woman named Carmen. Carmen was a nurse. She worked in a busy hospital and saw suffering every day. She came home exhausted, and her mind would replay the most difficult moments of her shift. She would think about the patient she could not save. She would worry about whether she had made the right decisions. She would imagine worst-case scenarios for the patient still under her care. She tried to distract herself with television and social media. But the thoughts always came back. One evening, she sat down and instead of distracting herself, she just let the thoughts come. She did not try to push them away. She did not try to analyze them. She just sat there and watched them, like watching cars pass on a highway. And she noticed something interesting. The thoughts came in waves. They would arise, peak, and then fade away. If she did not grab onto them, they did not stay long. A new thought would arise, and the process would repeat. She realized that her mind was not actually tormenting her. It was just doing what minds do. The torment came from her habit of grabbing onto the thoughts and writing them into the future or the past. This is a profound insight. The mind produces thoughts the way the stomach produces digestive juices. It is just its nature. The problem is not the production. The problem is the identification. When you believe that you are your thoughts, when you think that every thought is true and important, you become their slave. When you see them as simply thoughts, as passing phenomena, you become free. Now we arrive at the heart of the matter. If the goal is not to find answers through philosophy, but to heal through direct experience, then how do we actually practice this in daily life? How do we pull out the arrow when we are in the middle of a stressful day, when emotions are high, when old patterns are pulling us down? The Buddha gave a very simple yet profound instruction. He said, "In the seen, there is only the seen. In the heard, there is only the heard. In the sensed, there is only the sensed. In the cognized, there is only the cognized." This is not a philosophical statement. It is a practical instruction for meditation in daily life. It means that when you see something, you just see it. You do not add a story to it. You do not compare it to past experiences. You do not judge it as good or bad. You just let the seeing be seeing. When you hear a sound, you just hear it. You do not label it as pleasant or unpleasant. You do not think about where it came from or what it means. You just let the hearing be hearing. When you feel a sensation in your body, whether pleasant or painful, you just feel it. You do not grasp at the pleasant or push away the painful. You just let the sensing be sensing. When a thought arises in your mind, you just notice it. You do not follow it. You do not analyze it. You do not believe it or disbelieve it. You just let the cognizing be cognizing. This is the end of suffering. Not because suffering disappears, but because you stop adding layers of mental elaboration on top of it. The raw sensation of pain is bearable. It is just energy. What is unbearable is the story you tell yourself about the pain. What is unbearable is the fear that it will never end, the anger that it is happening to you, the confusion about why it is there. Let me tell you a story about a woman named Fiona. Fiona was a musician. She played the cello in a symphony orchestra. Her greatest joy came from playing, from losing herself in the music. But she also suffered from terrible stage fright. Before every performance, her hands would shake, her heart would race, and her mind would fill with catastrophic thoughts. She would imagine breaking a string, playing the wrong notes, being humiliated in front of thousands of people. She tried everything to overcome this fear. She read books on performance anxiety. She practiced relaxation techniques. She worked with a therapist to understand the childhood origins of her fear. Nothing worked. The fear always returned. One day, a fellow musician gave her some unexpected advice. He said, "Stop trying to get rid of the fear. Just play with it. Let the fear be there. It is just energy. You can use that energy in your music." At her next performance, Fiona tried this new approach. When the fear arose, she did not fight it. She did not try to calm herself down. She just noticed the sensations in her body. The racing heart. The sweaty palms. The shallow breath. And then she picked up her cello and began to play. She played with the fear. She channeled that raw energy into the music. And something miraculous happened. Her playing was more powerful, more passionate, more alive than it had ever been. The fear did not ruin her performance. It enhanced it. Fiona discovered a profound truth. The problem was not the fear itself. The problem was her relationship to the fear. When she stopped seeing it as an enemy to be defeated, it became simply another color in the palette of her experience. This is what the Buddha meant by, in the sensed, only the sensed. When you feel fear, just feel it. Do not add the thought, I am afraid, because that creates a self that is identified with the fear. Do not add the thought, this fear is bad and should not be here, because that creates resistance and struggle. Just feel the raw physical sensations. Let them be there. They will change on their own. Everything changes. Let me share another story about a man named Hiroshi. Hiroshi was a gardener. He tended a small temple garden with great care and devotion. One year, a terrible drought came. The plants began to wither. Hiroshi could not sleep at night. He worried constantly about the garden. He would lie awake thinking about the dry soil, the wilting leaves, the dying flowers. His teacher, an old monk, noticed his distress and called him aside. The monk said, Hiroshi, you are watering the garden with your worry. But the garden does not need your worry. It needs water. Go and get water from the well. Carry it to the garden 1 bucket at a time. Do not think about the drought. Do not think about the future of the garden. Just carry the water. Just water the plants. That is all you can do. Hiroshi followed his teacher's advice. He stopped worrying and started acting. He carried bucket after bucket from the well to the garden. He did not think about whether his efforts would be enough. He just watered the plants that were right in front of him. And in the doing, he found peace. This is the practice. When suffering arises, do not philosophize about it. Do not analyze its origins. Do not worry about its future. Just attend to the present moment. Just take the next step. Just breathe the next breath. Just feel the next sensation. The healing is in the doing, not in the thinking. Let us now explore a concept that is often misunderstood in spiritual circles. It is the idea of non-attachment. Many people hear this word and think it means not caring, not loving, not engaging fully with life. They imagine a monk sitting in a cave, indifferent to the world, untouched by joy or sorrow. This is a tragic misunderstanding. Non-attachment does not mean not caring. It means not clinging. It means loving fully, giving your whole heart, and then allowing things to be exactly as they are, including the possibility of loss. It means holding life with an open hand rather than a clenched fist. Think about it this way. When you hold sand in a closed fist, you cannot keep it. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it runs through your fingers. But when you hold sand in an open palm, it rests there peacefully. It can stay as long as it is meant to stay. And when the wind comes to take it, it goes without struggle. This is non-attachment. It is holding your loved ones, your possessions, your identity, your very life, in an open palm. You cherish them. You care for them. You enjoy them fully. But you do not grip them so tightly that their inevitable changing or leaving destroys you. The Buddha saw that attachment is the root of suffering. Not love. Not caring. Attachment. Attachment is the belief that something outside yourself can complete you. Attachment is the demand that life be other than it is. Attachment is the refusal to let go when letting go is required. Let me tell you a story about a woman named Grace. Grace was a mother. She had raised 2 children with tremendous love and sacrifice. She had given them everything. When they grew up and left home, she fell into a deep depression. Her days felt empty. Her house felt like a tomb. She would call her children multiple times a day, and when they did not answer immediately, she would spiral into anxiety and resentment. A wise friend said to her, "Grace, you are still holding your children as if they were small. But they are not small anymore. They are adults with their own lives. Your love must grow up too. It must become a love that lets go, a love that trusts, a love that is happy for their happiness even when it does not include you." This was a painful message for Grace to hear. But she knew it was true. She had been clinging to her children, and her clinging was suffocating them and destroying her. She began to practice a new kind of love. She still called them, but less often. She still cared deeply, but she stopped demanding that they fill the void in her life. She started filling that void herself, with her own interests, her own friendships, her own growth. It was not easy. It was like learning to walk again. But gradually, she found a new freedom. Her relationship with her children improved because it was no longer burdened by her neediness. And she discovered parts of herself she had forgotten, parts that existed before she became a mother. This is the work of non-attachment. It is not about loving less. It is about loving without demanding that love look a certain way. Let me share another story about a man named Victor. Victor was an artist. He painted large, ambitious canvases. He poured his soul into every work. But he could never finish anything. He would get to the final stages and then stop, afraid to complete the painting because completing meant releasing it into the world. What if people did not like it? What if it was not perfect? What if he failed? His studio was filled with almost finished paintings, gathering dust. He was paralyzed by his attachment to the outcome. He wanted so badly for his art to be successful, to be admired, to be meaningful, that he could not let it exist at all. One day, a mentor came to visit. He looked at the stack of unfinished canvases and said, "Victor, you are not protecting your art. You are imprisoning it. These paintings want to be seen. They want to live. Your job is not to control their reception. Your job is simply to finish them and let them go. What happens after that is none of your business." Victor heard these words like a thunderclap. He went back to the largest canvas, the one that scared him the most, and he finished it. He signed his name. He stepped back. And then he did something terrifying. He invited people to see it. Some people loved it. Some people were indifferent. Some people criticized it. And Victor survived. More than survived, he felt a strange sense of relief. The painting was no longer his burden. It belonged to the world now. He was free to start the next one. This is the practice of non-attachment in action. You do your part. You give your gift. You love with your whole heart. And then you let go. You release the outcome. You trust that what is meant to remain will remain, and what is meant to leave will leave. In that release, you find a peace that the clinging mind can never know. We have been exploring the difference between philosophizing about suffering and actually healing it. We have looked at the Buddha's parable of the poisoned arrow and seen how easily we get distracted by questions that do not matter while the wound continues to bleed. But now we must address something that often gets overlooked in these discussions. It is the question of why this is so hard. Why do we keep falling back into the same patterns? Why do we keep reaching for philosophical answers when what we really need is presence and healing? The answer lies in a simple but profound truth. The thinking mind is addicted to itself. It loves its own activity the way a fire loves burning. It will find any excuse to keep going, to keep analyzing, to keep spinning stories. And it has developed a very clever trick to keep itself in control. It has convinced us that if we stop thinking, we will become stupid, or lazy, or irresponsible. It has convinced us that thinking is our only protection against the chaos of life. This is a lie. But it is a very persuasive lie because it comes from inside your own head. The thinker is telling you that you cannot live without the thinker. It is like a government telling you that you cannot survive without the government. There may be some truth in it, but it is wildly exaggerated. Let me tell you a story about a man named Richard. Richard was an accountant. His mind was his livelihood. He worked with numbers all day, and he was very good at it. But his mind did not stop working when he left the office. It continued calculating, analyzing, projecting, worrying. He would lie in bed at night running through scenarios, planning conversations, reviewing his day for mistakes. He could not shut it off. His wife would say, "Richard, just relax. Just be here with me." And Richard would say, "I am trying. But my mind won't stop." He genuinely believed that his mind was doing this to him, that he was a victim of his own thoughts. One weekend, they went to the beach. Richard sat in a chair looking at the ocean, but his mind was somewhere else, running its usual programs. His wife took his hand and said, "Richard, feel the sun on your skin. Feel my hand in yours. Hear the waves. Just for 1 minute, be here." Richard tried. For a brief moment, he actually felt the sun. He actually heard the waves. And in that moment, his mind was quiet. It lasted only a few seconds, but in those seconds, he experienced something he had not felt in years. Peace. Not the peace of solving a problem or reaching a conclusion. Just peace. The peace of being alive without having to think about it. He looked at his wife and said, "Is this how you feel all the time?" She smiled and said, "Not all the time. But I know how to come back to it." You can learn too. This is what we are learning. Not how to stop thinking permanently. That is impossible and undesirable. But how to come back. How to recognize when we have been kidnapped by our thoughts and find our way home to the present moment. Let me share another story about a woman named Nora. Nora was a university professor. She taught philosophy, ironically enough. She was brilliant at deconstructing arguments and analyzing texts. But her personal life was a mess. She had been through 3 divorces and was estranged from her children. She could explain the philosophy of love beautifully, but she could not actually love. One day, a student came to her office hours, not to discuss philosophy but to ask for personal advice. The student was struggling with a broken heart. Nora launched into a brilliant philosophical analysis of love and loss, quoting from Plato and Kierkegaard and Simone de Beauvoir. The student listened politely and then said, "Professor, that is very interesting. But I don't need a theory about my broken heart. I need to know how to survive the night. I need to know how to get out of bed tomorrow morning." Nora had no answer. All her philosophy, all her knowledge, was useless in the face of this simple human question. That night, she sat alone in her apartment, and for the first time, she did not open a book. She did not turn on a lecture. She just sat with her own broken heart, with all the failures and regrets and loneliness she had been running from for decades. And she wept. She wept for hours. When the weeping was over, she felt something she had not felt in years. Not happiness. Not resolution. Just presence. Just the simple fact of being alive in that moment, with nothing to prove, nothing to figure out, nothing to analyze. It was the beginning of a new life. Nora learned what the Buddha had been trying to teach all along. Philosophy can describe the wound. It can name the poison. It can analyze the arrow. But only presence can heal. Only being here, fully, with whatever is arising, can pull the arrow out. We are approaching the end of our time together, but before we conclude, I want to address something that may be troubling you. If the path is about letting go of excessive philosophy and turning toward direct experience, what about the great spiritual texts? What about the teachings themselves? Are we supposed to throw them away? Are we supposed to stop reading, stop learning, stop studying? The answer is no. But we must understand the proper role of teachings. They are maps, not the territory. They are fingers pointing at the moon, not the moon itself. A map is useful when you are lost. It shows you the general direction. It helps you avoid dead ends. But you would be foolish to spend your life staring at the map, tracing its lines, memorizing its symbols, while never actually taking a single step. The purpose of the map is to be used and then set aside. The purpose of the teaching is to be practiced and then transcended. The Buddha himself said that his teachings were like a raft. Imagine a man who comes to a vast body of water. The near shore is dangerous. The far shore is safe. But there is no bridge, no ferry. So the man gathers logs and branches and builds a raft. He paddles safely to the far shore. Now, what should he do with the raft? Should he carry it on his back for the rest of his journey? No. That would be foolish. He leaves the raft behind. It has served its purpose. The teachings are the raft. They are for crossing over, not for holding on to. Once you have crossed, once you have tasted the freedom of direct experience, you can let them go. You do not need to carry the map after you have arrived. Let me tell you a story about a man named Samuel. Samuel was a devoted student of spirituality. He had read thousands of books. He could quote from the Tao Te Ching, the Bhagavad Gita, the Dhammapada, the Bible, the Quran. He had a library that would make any scholar envious. But Samuel was not peaceful. He was actually more anxious than most people. He was constantly comparing teachings, trying to figure out which one was true, which practice was most effective. He was like a man dying of thirst who owns 1,000 books about water but has never taken a drink. One day, he met an old woman in a park. She was feeding the pigeons, just sitting on a bench, smiling. Samuel approached her and asked, "Excuse me, but you look so peaceful. What is your spiritual practice? What teachings do you follow?" The woman looked at him with kind eyes and said, "I don't know anything about teachings. I just sit here and feed the birds. I feel the sun. I watch the children play. I breathe. That's all." Samuel was stunned. This woman had none of his knowledge, none of his books, none of his philosophical sophistication. And yet she radiated a peace he had been seeking for decades without finding. In that moment, he understood. The peace was not in the books. It was in the simple, direct experience of life. The books had pointed the way, but he had mistaken the pointing for the destination. Let me share another story about a young monk named Tenzin. Tenzin had joined a monastery at a young age and had spent 15 years studying the scriptures. He knew them backwards and forwards. He could debate the finest points of Buddhist philosophy with anyone. But he felt empty. He felt that something was missing. He went to his teacher and confessed his despair. "I have studied everything," he said. "I know all the words. But I do not know the reality behind the words. I feel like I have been counting other people's money while my own pockets are empty." His teacher smiled and said, "Good. You are finally ready to begin." He sent Tenzin to a small hut in the forest and told him to stay there for 1 year. No books. No debates. No studying. Just sitting. Just breathing. Just being present with whatever arose. The first months were agony. Tenzin's mind screamed for its usual food. It wanted to analyze, to compare, to categorize. But gradually, the screaming subsided. A different kind of knowing began to emerge. Not knowing about things, but knowing things directly. Knowing the coolness of the morning air. Knowing the warmth of the sun. Knowing the ache in his knees and the peace in his heart when he stopped resisting it. After a year, he returned to his teacher. The teacher looked at him and saw that his eyes had changed. They were no longer the eyes of a scholar. They were the eyes of someone who had seen. Now, the teacher said, "You can read the scriptures. Now they will make sense. Now they will be a confirmation of what you already know, not a substitute for it." This is the proper relationship to teachings. First, experience. Then, understanding. Or as the Buddha put it, first, heal the wound. Then, if you still care to, discuss the archer. But you will find that once healed, the questions that once tormented you have lost their power. You have found something better than answers. You have found peace. And so we arrive at the end of our journey together. But endings are also beginnings. The words you have heard here are just words. They are fingers pointing. The real work, the real healing, the real transformation, can only happen in the silence between the words, in the spaces of your own direct experience. We began with the Buddha's parable of the poisoned arrow. A man is shot. A healer arrives. But the man refuses treatment until his philosophical questions are answered. Who shot the arrow? Where do they come from? What is the bow made of? And while he asks, the poison spreads. The man dies with his questions still hanging in the air. This is not just an ancient story. It is the story of our lives. We are all shot with arrows. The arrow of aging. The arrow of loss. The arrow of disappointment. The arrow of fear. And we have all, at some point, chosen to analyze the arrow rather than remove it. We have chosen philosophy over healing. We have chosen thinking over feeling. We have chosen the map over the territory. But it does not have to be this way. In every moment, we have a choice. We can continue the endless analysis, the endless searching for answers, the endless philosophical debate. Or we can simply attend to the wound. We can feel what is here, right now, in this body, in this heart. We can breathe into the sensation. We can let it be exactly as it is. And in that simple act of presence, the healing begins. Let me tell you one final story. It is a story about a woman named Anna. Anna had spent her entire life searching. She had traveled to India, to Nepal, to Peru. She had sat at the feet of gurus and shamans. She had practiced every kind of meditation, studied every kind of philosophy. She had a notebook filled with profound insights and spiritual experiences. But she was still searching. The peace she sought always seemed just around the next corner, just beyond the next teaching. One day, exhausted and discouraged, she sat down under a tree. Not to meditate. Not to practice. Just to rest. She leaned her back against the trunk and closed her eyes. She felt the rough bark against her spine. She felt the breeze on her face. She heard birds singing. She smelled the earth after a recent rain. And for the first time in her life, she was not trying to get anywhere. She was not trying to achieve anything. She was just there, fully there, with nothing missing. In that moment, a profound realization washed over her. She had been searching for something she already had. She had been traveling to find a home she had never left. The peace she sought was not in India or Nepal. It was not in any teaching or any practice. It was right here, under this tree, in this ordinary moment, waiting for her to stop running long enough to notice. Anna opened her eyes and laughed. She laughed at the absurdity of her long search. She laughed at the cosmic joke that the treasure had been buried in her own backyard all along. And in that laughter, something released. The searching mind finally rested. The questions finally dissolved. And what remained was simply life, living itself, through her and as her. This is the invitation for you, dear friend. You have been searching. You have been asking questions. You have been reading books and watching videos and collecting insights. And all of that has value. It has brought you here. But now, perhaps, it is time to stop searching. Perhaps it is time to simply be here, in this moment, with whatever is present. Perhaps it is time to let the healer finally reach the wound. The Buddha said, "You shall love life more than the meaning of life." This is the heart of it. The meaning is in the loving. The meaning is in the living. The meaning is not a secret to be uncovered but an experience to be embraced. So as you go from this place, carry this with you. When you feel the arrow of suffering, do not immediately reach for a philosophy to explain it. Do not rush to analyze it. Just feel it. Just be with it. Let it be there. Breathe into it. And watch what happens. Watch the miracle of presence. Watch the healing that comes not from knowing, but from being. Thank you for walking this path with me. Thank you for your willingness to look inward, to be honest with yourself, to put down the questions long enough to find what has been here all along. May you be peaceful. May you be happy. May you be free. May you love this life, in all its imperfection, in all its beauty, in all its ordinary, miraculous glory. This is Monk's Temple. The door is always open. Come back anytime. Just sit. Just breathe. Just be. Good night, dear friend.